Welcome to the Caviar and Candy podcast. I'm your host, Paula Conway, and today I'm joined by my colleague and producer, Azaria Muhammad. Thank you, Azaria, for coming on today.
Hi, Paula. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Today, we will be exploring this new era of luxury travel triggered by Maybach with Mercedes Benz's design. It's the launch of the Maybach Ocean Club. So jumping right into it, obviously, these images are gorgeous. Tell me about this Maybach Ocean Club. What is it?
Yeah, so you're right. The images are beautiful. I cannot wait to hopefully be invited on their either their celebratory party or their first sale. All right, so the Maybach Ocean Club. This is really a new era for luxury travel, ultra luxury travel, but it's a private members club. It just happens to be at sea. So think of any private members club that could be in New York City, down the street. You know, everybody's invited. It's invitation only. This one just happens to be at sea. And it's not really a cruise. You are cruising, but it's not a cruise. Everyone cannot be on this yacht, this cruise ship. It's not something that the general public can access. So that kind of leads us to what comes next, which is really, how do you get invited, right?
So yeah, please tell me what makes this club so exclusive and one of a kind.
It's invitation only. And I'll tell you a little bit about how it started. So I had the pleasure of interviewing Captain Matthias Bose. I don't know actually if it's pronounced Bose or Bose. He's beautifully German. So if I didn't pronounce it correctly, I'm sorry. But Captain Matthias was the captain of a super yacht for a Saudi billionaire. He has many, many years being a captain of super yachts and cruise ships. And he realized when he was working for this Saudi billionaire that there was really an economy in just having ultra high net worth people who can share ideas openly, socialize, and create business opportunities with like-minded peers. So that ultra high net worth client is in the billionaire category or many multiple millions, right? And it's really, so you're creating a community of like-minded people. It's not about travel. That's really a side note. It's really about the community. Highly curated lists. You only share with your list. Highly gated community. So those people can invite or suggest other people. It is fractional yacht ownership. So you are paying 7 figures, just, it's $1 million threshold just to get into the gated community. That is not even, your fee for everything else on the ship or your suite. It's just to be on the list, basically. And it's really like a timeshare at sea, but everybody, we hate to use timeshare in the whole ultra high net worth category, but it is. And it suggests, really, that fee suggests that the price of admission buys something even more valuable than a luxury cruise. Hub-based cruising is very popular among the ultra high net worth. So imagine that during whatever period of time, Monaco is the hub. Let's say it's December. This vessel might spend a week in the region, just flitting between Monte Carlo and Saint-Tropez, because it's not about the destinations. They're there because, remember, these people can go there anyway. They have private jets, they have private helicopters, they can go there anyway.
Wow.
I know. I know.
That is very impressive.
Right? It's interesting.
So clearly this club is very exclusive. It's very, high end. So tell me, have you had any personal experiences with this kind of like private member club? And if so, just please tell me about them.
Yeah, I've been to many. The ones that I belong to right now are the Players in New York City and the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. So to put it into context, they too are private member clubs. And you have to be invited or somebody has to recommend you. But they're different. They're not ultra high net worth. So obviously the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., the common ground is media. The common ground is editorial. It's press. So you have very well-known producers, anchors on CNN, CNBC, you name it, whatever you watch, all the way to journalists around the country who are members, journalists writing for the Associated Press who are members, writers of different types. And the National Press Club is a curated community of that economy. And they host events, but the events are around, let's say the CEO of the president of CNN is going to be coming, and they're going to speak about how journalism is covering the war in Iran and Iraq, oil and gas prices. And journalists will come because that's a very special kind of event. It's a very curated event, and they can get really unique perspectives. And there's usually a roundtable so that you can ask questions, share comments. It's really more about the commentary. The Players is in a completely different niche. And the Players in New York City is a community that supports the arts. It was founded by Edwin Booth, John Booth's brother. He is really considered to be the father of Broadway, the father of theater. This is going back into, okay, I'm going to mess this up. And anybody who's a member of the Players who's listening to this is going to come after me. But 1800s, early 1900s, 1800s, late 1800s, I believe. So it's legendary. Mark Twain was a member of the Players. You have very high profile people, but you also have people on Broadway who are stagehands, who are stage managers. You have film producers, you have film writers, you have people in magazine and editorial, but we all support the arts. You have painters, you have sculpture artists. It's performing arts, it's living arts. It's really broad in that regard. And then you have a community within this community of people who are investors who just support the arts broadly. So that's the common ground. And in the case of that, it's not obviously $1 million. It's not about that. The threshold is completely different. It's calculated in a different way. But everybody's there because they really support the arts, which I was a Broadway press agent. That's actually kind of how my career started, is on Broadway. And I studied theater in undergraduate and graduate school. So I have a passion for theater and theatrical arts. And I was actually brought into the Players. This is a really good example. So I was doing a story on Ray Kinsler, and this is going back now about 5 or 6 years. And Ray, at the time of 6 years, he was the foremost portrait painter in America.
Okay.
And I'm talking about presidential portraits, celebrities of stage and film, very high end, but he was really famous portrait painter. He was the guy. And he trained under James Montgomery Flagg, whom you might know from the "We Want You" for the U.S. Army posters. Right. He trained under Flagg. And Flagg trained under Christie, Howard Chandler Christie, the Christie girls of, World War II. World War II, the posters with the beautiful women and the lipstick, they used it as propaganda. So interestingly enough, Ray and I struck up a friendship. We happened to live within a good distance, short distance of each other in Connecticut. And he was the one who sponsored me for the Players Club when he learned my theater background and my passion for the arts. He said, you should really be a member of the Players Club. And it was just an amazing mentorship to have this. He was in his 90s when I met him, man who brought me in and was so revered and regarded to want me to be a member of that club. And So that's a really good example. It was by invitation.
Okay, so yeah, you just talked about being invited to that club, and him becoming your mentor. I'm curious, I was reading about how the Maybach Ocean Club is not only, like a vacation opportunity for the upper class, but the social ecosystem and the networking advantages that
Correct.
come from this club. Can you tell me about, the professional benefits that stem from these private member clubs and, maybe your experience with them?
Well, the interesting thing is Captain Matthias was telling me that one of the things that he learned working with the Saudi billionaire was that there were always people of the same high net worth, and they spanned across, CEOs of major corporations, very noteworthy billionaires who are in the news regularly that you know very well. And they'd have these intimate, gatherings on the yacht, and a lot of deals would be done, but just organically. So you're not, it's not like, you or we're always trying to improve our careers. And we're like, oh, let's see, if I can get into this circle or that circle to get a job or to get, it's not like that. They're already really well established, but they have common interests and they have a common financial pool. So when they're there, they're talking about leisure things just like anybody would in a social setting. But then other things come up like, hey, I'm going to buy this company. What are your thoughts on it? And those thoughts could lead to, I'd really like to be one of your investors, or I'd like to partner with you on that. So if you think about sort of an everyday example like Shark Tank, so you've seen it, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So the entrepreneur goes out, but the part that I'm pointing out is that the millionaires and billionaires who are sitting there start to collaborate if they both want to get in on a deal.
Right.
Now, there's no entrepreneur pitching something on this. This is not, but it's the same idea that they work together.
Okay, very nice, very interesting. Sort of moving on from that, can you just tell me about your experiences with just luxury cruising in general, and maybe how that kind of compares to the concept of the Maybach Ocean Club?
Yeah, they're two different worlds. There's not a comparison, but I'll tell you, I have been on the MSC. I was on the MSC Divina when it launched. I was there for the christening of the ship. And this was, I don't know, 20 years ago. That's how old I am. Yes. But that's a luxury adults only cruise. That particular cruises, there are MSC cruises with families, but it's very high end, not as high end as this. I mean, you start talking Maybach and Mercedes Benz, you're in a different category. And it was just beautiful. It was just a beautiful experience. I mean, we had a butler, we had a very large suite. For cruising, it was probably, 800 feet, which in the cruising world, you get 250. So it was a lot. It was a much smaller ship. It wasn't like a Renaissance cruises. It wasn't like that. So it would be, pricey, but again, anybody can do it. Anybody can pay and anybody can get on. And the same is with Cunard. Cunard is famous for having been, a luxury and ultra luxury experience, and it is. But anybody can book a suite or a room on any of the Cunard ships. You think about, I was on the Queen Mary too. But I was in a suite, but if someone wanted to just, I did a transatlantic cruise and, you can look up the prices, you could get an inside room, for the whole cruise for $600.
Right.
That's not going to include your meals and everything else, and sometimes less. Anybody can do it.
Right. Like you don't have to already be a member of this organization or apply for this or.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like,
and then,
yes, money, you got it.
Yeah. So it's not apples and oranges because they're not both fruits. You know what I mean? It's
right.
It's a cow and a biscuit, and then, you look at Maybach and there's only 30 member suites. There are additional rooms so that you can have guests that you pay for if they want to, you have to be approved and whatnot. But there's only 30 member suites. There's a heliport, which super yachts do have. The obvious, like you can see in your image, this gorgeous pool, spa, that the rear of the deck, which is what you're displaying, is where you go for the water sports. And a world-renowned personal trainer, a world-renowned golf instructor will be,
Yeah.
a well-known name will be on there.
Right. The selectivity of just like their staff kind of speaks like a whole new level of what this club is about.
Exactly.
So do you think that other luxury travel companies have competition?
Yeah, I think everybody has competition in some way. So right now, the closest to this is Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons. But if you think about it, they're not competitors because anybody can book. So yes, it's very, very expensive. They're small. These yachts are small. So the staff ratio's higher than even a Cunard, or Royal Caribbean. That's what I meant earlier, Royal Caribbean, not Renaissance. That hasn't been around for a long time. I don't know why I said that, but yeah. So yeah, they're really not competitors, but that's the closest you could get to it. And everyone's in competition, generally speaking. But this model does not exist. This is going to be the first of its kind.
Yeah, and that is really powerful.
It is, isn't it? It's so powerful for them
because they're what's it called? Travel companies. There's so many travel companies, and I'm trying to remember the term. What's the program where you like regular families can buy this and they go to the
timeshares?
Yeah, sorry, timeshares. Yes,
the timeshares. Yeah,
they exist forever. So like for this to be like the first of its kind and like to be catering to such a affluent audience is very interesting.
It is. I think so too.
Do you think the club will be a success?
I definitely do. And I do because there's an interesting just thing happening in the world. It's good and bad. The rich are getting richer. The rest of us, that's all of us, are getting poorer. That's just the world that we're living in right now. And so just to give you a comparison, in 2016, there were 1,800 plus billionaires in the world. That's 2016. That's 10 years ago. Now there's more than 3,000. And the same numbers apply for millionaires. So not the same numbers, but the same growth. So you have more wealthy people occupying this top tier. Let's talk in the billionaires. It's not the 1%, it's the 0.001%. That's different.
Right.
They're different worlds, but similar. And because of that, because luxury travel is expanding, luxury travel is extraordinarily popular. They're coming up at the right time, but there will always be a market for it. It's just a matter of, will it be this robust or that robust? Is it going to be here or here? But there's growth. There's going to continue to be growth. And for that alone, I think spells tremendous success for them. I also think that you have Maybach and Mercedes Benz. These are ultra high net worth luxury brands. And you say Mercedes Benz and people, no matter what, get a feeling inside of them, whether that feeling is like, oh, of course you drive a Mercedes, or of course you drive a Maybach, or, oh, wow, that must be nice. It doesn't matter where you're coming from on it. There's a reason, and it's baked in, and it's been, since day one. It's a high quality product. So you associate it that way.
So, since the market is very big and it's growing for the Maybach Ocean Club, do you see other travel companies replicating that same business structure?
I do. Yeah. I think that there's being first to market and being loudest. It has tremendous opportunities in of itself, but you can bet other brands are baking it right now. I don't think that just any brand can bake this. Like, I just don't
Right.
think Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville is an enormous brand. And it's, if you've ever stayed at the hotel in Times Square, which I have, it's really buttoned up. Like, they really know that brand. They know who their audience is. And that's really about what it's about. All brands. You have to know who your audience, who your buyer is. Like, they're not going to do this. But there might be, let's say, another brand like maybe BMW would think of partnering on something like this. Maybe the Ritz-Carlton and the Four Seasons would say, hey, let's do this, but it's invitation only. I don't know, I'm just making this up. So yeah, I think there's always going to be competition. And once you put yourself out there, somebody else is like, well, I'm just going to do it better and bigger. Always.
Of course. And sort of under that same umbrella, will the Maybach Ocean Club redefine the future of luxury travel? Will it be the new standard, perhaps?
I don't think the word standard applies in this. I think others will try to build it, and there will be a new category
Right.
for members clubs at sea. That's what it's going to be, a new category, and it's members clubs at sea. It just doesn't exist like this.
Yeah.
So that will happen. Yeah, I think it's inevitable. Let me also just say this: if it's successful, I think it's going to be successful, but I'm not the predictor of the world. This is just my impression, writing about luxury travel and covering it for as long as I have. But we never know how the world's going to change, and this vessel is not available until 2029. A million things can happen between now and then. They're building it. They're procuring their members. So, who knows?
Yeah, anything could happen.
Yeah.
Like, we could have another pandemic, who knows?
we could go into World War III,
Right.
and everything shifts, and we don't see this again for 15 years because it can't be built.
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this with me today. I so appreciate you.
Of course. This was a great interview. You had great answers. Very insightful.
Oh, thank you. And with that being said, thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Caviar and Candy podcast. Today, we discuss the launch of the beautiful, one-of-a-kind Ocean Maybach Club and its potential to rewrite the future of ultra luxury travel at sea and private members clubs. Join right here for more episodes on luxury travel and lifestyle, and follow me, Paula Conway, on Instagram at Paula Conway NYC.